Transitional Provisions 2252. Changes made in new provisions and rules laid down by this code, which may prejudice or impair vested or acquired rights in accordance with the old legislation, shall have no retroactive effect. For the determination of the applicable law in cases which are not specified elsewhere in this code, the following articles shall be observed. 2253. The Civil Code of 1889 and other previous laws govern rights originating under said laws from acts done or events which took place under their regime, even though this code may regulate them in a different manner or may not recognize them. But if a right should be declared for the first time in this code, it shall be effective at once, even though the act or event which gives rise thereto may have been done or may have occurred under the prior legislation, provided said new right does not prejudice or impair any vested or acquired right of the same origin. Rule 1. 2254. No vested or acquired right can arise from acts or omissions which are against the law or which infringe upon the rights of others. 2255. The former laws shall regulate acts and contracts with the condition or period which were executed or entered into before the effectivity of this code, even though the condition or period may still be pending at the time of this body of laws goes into effect. 2256. Acts and contracts under the regime of the old laws, if they are valid in accordance therewith, shall continue to be fully operative as provided in the same, with the limitations established in these rules. But the revocation or modification of these acts and contracts after the beginning of the effectivity of this code shall be subject to the provisions of this new body of laws. 2257. Provisions of this code which attach a civil sanction or penalty or a deprivation of rights to acts or omissions which were not penalized by the former laws are not applicable to those who, when said laws were in force, may have executed the act or incurred in the omission forbidden or condemned by this code. If the fault is also punished by the previous legislation, the less severe sanction shall be applied. If a continuous or repeated act or omission was commenced before the beginning of the effectivity of this code, and the same subsists or is maintained or repeated after this body of laws has become operative, the sanction or penalty prescribed in this code shall be applied, even though the previous laws may not have provided any sanction or penalty therefor. 2258. Actions and right which came into being but were not exercised before the effectivity of this code shall remain in full force in conformity with the old legislation, but their exercise, duration, and the procedure to enforce them shall be regulated by this code and by the rules of court. If the exercise of the right or of the action was commenced under the old laws but is pending on the date this code takes effect, and the procedure was different from that established in this new body of laws, the parties concerned may choose which method or course to pursue. 2259. The capacity of a married woman to execute acts and contracts is governed by this code, even if her marriage was celebrated under the former laws. 2260. The voluntary recognition of a natural child shall take place according to this code, even if the child was born before the effectivity of this body of laws. 2261. The exemption prescribed in Article 302 shall also be applicable to any support, pension, or gratuity already existing or granted before this code becomes effective. 2262. Guardians of the property of minors appointed by the courts before this code goes into effect shall continue to act as such, notwithstanding the provisions of Article 320. 2263. Rights to the inheritance of a person who died with or without a will before the effectivity of this code shall be governed by the Civil Code of 1889, by other previous laws, and by the rules of court. The inheritance of those who, with or without a will, die after the beginning of the effectivity of this code shall be adjudicated and distributed in accordance with this new body of laws and by the rules of court, but the testamentary provisions shall be carried out in so far as they may be permitted by this code. Therefore, legitimes, betterments, legacies, and bequests shall be respected. However, their amount shall be reduced if in no other manner can every compulsory heir be given his full share according to this code. 2264. The status and rights of natural children by legal fiction referred to in Article 89 and illegitimate children mentioned in Article 287 shall also be acquired by children born before the effectivity of this code. 2265. The right of retention of real or personal property arising under this code becomes effective includes those things which came into the creditor's possession before said date. 2266. The following shall have not only prospective but also retroactive effect. 1. Article 315, whereby a descendant cannot be compelled in a criminal case. 2. Articles 101 and 88, providing against collusion in cases of legal separation and annulment of marriage. 3. Article 4 and 289 concerning the proof of illegitimate filiation. 4. Articles 838 authorizing the probate of a will on petition of the testator himself. 5. Articles 1359 to 1369 relative to the reformation of instruments. 6. Articles 476 to 481 regulating actions to quiet title. 7. Articles 2029 to 2031 which are designed to promote compromises. 2267. The following provisions shall apply not only to future cases, but also to those pending on the date this code becomes effective. 1. Article 29, relative to criminal prosecutions, wherein the accused is acquitted on the ground that his guilt has not been proved beyond reasonable doubt. 2. Article 33, concerning cases of defamation, fraud, and physical injuries. 2268, suits between members of the same family which are pending at the time this code goes into effect shall be suspended under such terms as the court may determine, in order that a compromise may be earnestly sought, or, in case of legal separation proceedings, for the purpose of effecting, if possible, a reconciliation. 269. The principles upon which the preceding transitional provisions are based shall, by analogy, be applied to cases not specifically regulated by them. Rule 13a. Repealing Clause 2270. The following laws and regulations are hereby repealed. 1. Those parts and provisions of the Civil Code of 1889 which are in force on the date when this new civil code becomes effective. 2. The provisions of the Code of Commerce governing sales, partnership, agency, loan, deposit, and guarantee. 3. The provisions of the Code of Civil Procedure on prescription as far as inconsistent with this code. And 4. All laws, acts, parts of acts, rules of court, executive orders, and administrative regulations which are inconsistent with this code. Approved June 18, 1949.